What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 17 of the Rip City Rundown podcast. We've got a lot of things to talk about today. Let's just start off with how you doing? How you doing right now?
I'm good. Got a haircut today. Feeling good. Damian Lillard's at the USA camp, so he's obviously happy right now. And I'm a little sad because there's not a lot of Blazer news these days. We're in the doldrums of the off season, but I'm doing good. What about yourself?
Doing good. We had some work on the studio that is to come soon for a more video purpose podcast. We put up a couple jerseys, put up a cool little backdrop. You'll get to see that in a podcast coming soon.
Yeah, we just got to get a few more equipment things, kind of finish the setup, and then, video form. And, there'll definitely be more quality videos coming your way very soon. But let's jump into the podcast. I'm glad you're doing good there. Should we just start off with the main question of the podcast, or do you want to save that?
We'll go and start off with that. That's probably why you clicked on this video. The title of the video is, Can Damian Lillard win a championship in Portland? And it's a question that all sports media asks, and some people take it a terrible way because they're just like, oh, Dame should be traded because that's the only way he'll win a championship.
For this question, we're gonna assume Dame stays in Portland his whole career, because then if he leaves in 2 years, then
that is the question. It's, can Dame win a championship in Portland?
I know, but when you're saying like a bunch of people will be like, he just wants to leave, like that's not an option here. So to the Laker fans, which we'll talk about you later, by the way.
Let's just go and talk about it before we do it. Damian Lillard posts a picture on Instagram at a WNBA game because he's in LA, because he's actually shooting a movie right now, or he's getting ready to release a movie.
Yeah, he's going on the release tour for Space Jam 2, which I'm super excited about.
And he posts a picture at, I think it was probably like the Los Angeles Sparks game, and there's purple and gold in the background.
With the news flash, when the premiere of the movie, or the movie like tour, pre-tour, is in LA, he's going to go to a basketball game because he's a basketball player, and it's purple and gold. And what do Laker fans do in the comments?
They think he's going to the Lakers.
They lose their dang mind. I don't know. I find it so annoying because it's like, look, there's a lot of fans from a lot of different teams this offseason that, they do the Photoshop, they put Dame in their jersey, and that's fine. Like, if Kevin Durant, there's questions he's going to leave, I'm going to be like, oh, I wonder what he looks like in a Blazer jersey, because that'd be sick. But Laker fans are just another level. They just think they can get every player, and they're entitled to every player, and they just think they can get Dame or Bradley Beal or some insane player for Kyle Kuzma and a bag of chips.
And okay, this is actually going to lead on a quick tangent before we actually get into the main purpose of the video, but being a Lakers fan, do you think it's actually fun? Like, it's fun to root for players that you didn't groom, you didn't see come up through struggle and pain, and you're just getting players suddenly?
I don't know. I think it's fun because when you're winning, like, you can't be like, winning's not fun. But I don't think it's the most rewarding or fulfilling when it's not like your hometown, like, bred guys.
Yeah, because like, you look at Suns and Bucks fans, and I mean, like, Suns and Bucks fans have got to be like,
they built it.
Like, sure, you signed Chris Paul, but like, in the end,
you're not gonna draft a championship team. You're gonna have to get someone free agency. But when you're the Lakers, I mean, sure, you could say the Lakers, and then the Lakers fans' argument is, well, we groomed all that young talent and cashed it in for AD. But did you do anything for LeBron James?
No, you just happened to be in Los Angeles.
Exactly, so. And it's annoying when teams, and I guess I'm, it's tough being a Portland fan, because if you're a Portland fan, your team basically for 4 to 5 years has to get every personnel decision almost right in order to win a championship. Because you're not going to get LeBron in free agency. You're not going to get bailed out. But Lakers fans can, sign Timothy. The Lakers can sign Timothy Mozgov, Luol Deng, pay all these crappy players huge deals, which why the Blazers aren't good. That's what they did in 2016. So respect, that's fine. But then, the Blazers can't just be like, oh, well, we're just going to forget about that and sign LeBron and trade for AD. Like, when you're the Lakers fans, you can do that, and Lakers fans just take it for granted, and it's annoying. And now they think they can get Dame.
Yeah, and another thing is, like, Lakers fans can go from one superstar to another superstar with just the snap of fingers.
The thing that was so frustrating to me is Lakers fans were genuinely upset they didn't get Kawhi. It was like, you want LeBron, Kawhi, and AD?
And Lakers fans, I listened to a podcast of House of Highlights through the wire, and they have a Lakers fan on the podcast, and he's like, the only way this team is ever going to be good again is if we get another star. We have to trade for Bradley Beal or Damian Lillard. I'm like, buddy, You don't have to. You still have it.
No,
LeBron
you
James
can
and
actually
AD.
make good moves and do what the Suns did. LeBron and AD are a better tandem than Chris Paul Devin Booker. But the Lakers' supporting cast is vastly worse compared to the Suns.
And I hate to say it, unless you pay some sort of astronomical luxury tax, Kyle Kuzma and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is not getting you a superstar. I hate to say it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing. Now, granted, the Lakers are the most popular team in the NBA, so there's going to be a lot of casuals that like the Lakers who don't know what they're talking about. That's fine. I'm not trying to go at you or anything, but please stop saying that Kyle Kuzma, KCP, and 2 firsts is good enough for Dame. Neil Olshey might not be a good GM for the Blazers, but he's not that dumb. He's not that stupid.
Yeah, but this has turned into a Lakers hate podcast, and we're
we don't.
Blazers.
We're not. If you're a Lakers fan and you listen to the podcast, I'm glad y'all won the chip. I'm a LeBron fan.
I actually like to see LeBron win championships.
I like to see LeBron win. I think AD can be a little bit of a baby sometimes, but that's my opinion. But just
street clothes?
Yeah, AD street clothes. Anthony street clothes Davis. I'm just kidding, but I want LeBron to do well because I want him to be the GOAT because I never got to see MJ play personally. I was born after he retired, so. Actually, no, I take that back. I was born before he retired, but past his prime. So he was on the Wizards.
Past his Bulls days.
Yeah.
Okay, but the question of the podcast is, can Dame win a championship in Portland? And I think if I was a betting man, I don't know what I would bet because I don't think he would. I don't think it's at this point, his best chances to win a championship, in my opinion, was obviously 2019. And then honestly, this past year, because the league was so wide open, a lot of injuries happened. You could have been
But I think it's going to be the same thing next year.
It still can be. Now, there's still going to be the Nets are still going to be a thing, and maybe they're super good.
But
Lakers are going to be really good again. But
that's in the East. That's in the the Lakers are going to be good. It's either do you have a super team out west, or do you have 6 really really good teams? It's kind of it's take your pick. The Blazers ran into the Warriors every year. Speaking of the Warriors, they're going to be good next year. So the West is so competitive compared to the East. So the Blazers are kind of in this spot where it's if everything breaks right, our ceiling is probably the Western Conference Finals. If everything breaks worse, it gets swept in the first round. 2018, we saw that in back-to-back years. 2018, bottom of the barrel. 2019, probably the top of the mountain for the Blazers, unless you get a second true star next to Dame. And that's the $1 million question. And I don't think Dame's going to leave Portland. I really hope he doesn't. But I understand why he's publicly putting pressure on the Blazers to do something. Because Dame's not going to sit there and twiddle his thumbs and wait for Neil Olshey to make a big move when he hasn't since 2013.
And a thing is, he's not going to make everything public. I mean, I know he's made a lot of things public, he's trying to force the Blazers' hand when saying, who knows, he could request a trade. But he has told Neil Olshey in private what he thinks the team should do, and he said that at the USA Basketball thing, that he's not going to make that public. He's going to keep that between him and Neil, and up to Neil.
What about USA Basketball?
What do you mean, what about USA Basketball?
I thought you were talking about USA Basketball just then.
I was. And I was talking about how he was being interviewed at his USA Basketball thing.
Dame.
Because just the media is just asking in general about the Blazers.
And then you're saying Dame said he won't say anything.
Dame said he's talked to Neil, but he's not going to make his conversations with Neil public. I just said the USA Basketball because I was just putting the setting out to where it was.
Gotcha.
Speaking of USA Basketball, could we see any recruiting going on from Dame? We've seen a lot of stuff from Dame. I mean, he's wearing number 6. Why is he wearing number 6? I forgot.
I do know why he's wearing number 6. He actually, I don't know if it was a tweet or an Instagram post. Look, guys, the other thing is when it's the off-season, news is hard to come by. So right now we're talking about Laker comments on Instagram and a Dame post. We're not the paparazzi here. We're
not just going to make up storylines the whole time and say,
we're just
Dame
trying to. There's not much Blazer news these days. The coaching search is over. Bill Epps is the coach. But Dame chose 6 because he was drafted number 6. He's a 6-time All-Star. I think he was 6-time All-NBA selection. And there were a couple more significance to the number 6.
There was something with USA Basketball that was 6.
The last time he was with USA Basketball was 6 years ago.
That's what it was. So Dame, I mean, it looks like he's having a great time at USA Basketball. I hope he gets a gold. I hope he starts. I think he should.
It'll be interesting to see how much playing time he gets. Obviously, the last thing I want him to do is get hurt, just because it's not, that screwed the Blazers. But I also want him to have fun, and they let's not kid ourselves. They should win gold. Obviously, they're the most talented team in the world, the USA. So I would like to see Dame play a major part in that. That would be good for him.
And I just hope, like you said, I hope he has a good time. Just get his mind off the Blazers a little bit, just with all the turmoil. I wouldn't even call it turmoil, but just like the unrest with the Blazers recently. A report that came out recently, we'll just go over, is Kevin Love. He's obviously at Team USA right now with Dame and all the other guys, but the fact that the Cavaliers are more than likely probably going to approach a buyout if they have a little success next year, which is more than likely. They're probably not going to be a big playoff team. They might sneak into a play-in game, but Kevin Love could get bought out, and some of the options you could go to is the two top ones is Warriors and Trailblazers. And before you say no, I don't want Kevin Love contract, you wouldn't take on his contract, this would be for a vet minimum or something like that.
So Kevin Love, like I said, the big thing is we're not going to take his massive contract. It'd be for vet men. Now, if we moved on from Melo and now had Kevin Love as that veteran scorer off the bench, to be honest, I'd rather have Kevin Love than Carmelo Anthony, just because what Kevin Love brings on the defensive end and rebounding. Kevin Love's a very good rebounder. But I would like to see Kevin. Now, thing is, Kevin Love's playing major minutes like Melo. That's less about how good or bad Kevin Love is and more about the holes in the roster. Because if Kevin Love's playing major minutes, that's on the roster construction. But he is an Oregon native. He's from Lake Oswego. I've heard that he wants to play in Portland at some point. I think the time is nearing where he could really have that possibility end of his career. I think he wants to go back home.
I think if he was to get bought out, he would probably... I don't want to say he would choose Portland and just have like a biased, blind eye to the situation, but what is he going to do for the Warriors, really? I mean, you already have Draymond Green securing that power forward or small ball center type, so I think the Blazers would be personally the best option for him. He could even come in and start, depending on what the roster looks like next year, but this wouldn't happen until... into the season, because you're not going to buy
like halfway through the year. Yeah, halfway through the year. It could be like what Canner was for us a couple years ago. Bottom out, played good minutes in the playoffs.
Honestly, that might be the best signing we've had in the past 5 years.
Canner,
even though it was a buyout, but I can't think of a better. I might just be completely
signed Seth Curry. He was big.
I personally think Canner was probably bigger, especially for the moment, given the fact that Nurk ended up going down. But that's enough about Kevin Love. I mean, there's not much to talk about. Again, this is a dull part of the season.
I do think it's funny how the Warriors and the Blazers are so interconnected, because you have this Kevin Love thing, and you have Ben Simmons and the two trade suitors for the 76ers right now, the Warriors and the Blazers. And, the backcourts always get compared. So, it's pretty funny. And I would say a lot of our family, they're not Warriors fans, but they all came from the California area. So, they always, as the second team, they were Warriors fans, I think, until KD joined them at least. But, the Warriors and Blazers have kind of always been connected. It's kind of a little rivalry, which is cool. But, yeah, I don't know. I found that interesting. But back to the topic at hand. Now, if Kevin Love buys out and goes to Portland, does that win Dame a championship? No, obviously not. But
I think it's more bodies for if you do catch that break in the playoffs.
That's the thing. It's look at the Suns.
You have campaign going off.
Devin Booker and Chris Paul, and we'll say Ayton. Yeah, we'll say DeAndre Ayton. Those three guys, and we'll say Mikal Bridges. Those four guys, those are the Suns guys. The Blazers couldn't just get Mikal Bridges, because they didn't draft him, obviously. Or Cam Johnson, Campaign. I know the Suns drafted Campaign, but Campaign wasn't like the Suns, that's our guy. Campaign, Torrey Craig, Jay Crowder. These are guys that the Suns GM signed to play minutes. And I said before the year, Jay Crowder, great addition, great 3-and-D. Now, he might not be as good on the Blazers as he's on the Suns, but still, even LeBron, the Lakers, when they won, just veteran role pieces.
Yeah, the Suns are a perfect example of that, because they actually built their team to fit their team. They didn't just go out and get big names. Now, I'm not going to say we got Melo just because he's a big name because of that.
But when you trade Gary Trent Jr., you trading him for another small guard?
Yeah, Come on. The Suns drafted Cam Johnson with the 11th overall pick back in the 2019 draft, and that was such a reach. But
Kobe White, remember his
reaction was wow, perfectly summarized everyone's reaction to that pick. He shouldn't have gone there. They probably could have traded down to get him, but they got their guy when they needed a guy to do the role he does. So I think that's what the Blazers should approach this offseason for. Don't go for the big names.
It's like here, like Rocco. Rocco, for example, it took 2 firsts, so yeah, it was a little of an overpay. But Rocco is the type of player that fits this team. 3 and D. You need defense. You need defense in this. You need defense in this league. If you're the Blazers, you badly need defense. Chauncey, I think, will up the defensive rating a little bit, but with the current roster we have, we're nothing better than like 23rd. Like, let's be honest. Like, we're not pushing the top 20 in the league with this roster. 3 undersized guards, a great team defender in Rocco, and then Nurk, can't cover up everyone's mistakes.
We just need that that lockdown one-on-one defender that can still be okay on the offensive end. Like
Ben Simmons.
It's so hard to know if the move for Ben Simmons would be a good trade. Like, we keep coming back to that.
But that's the thing. It's less about is it a good trade. You have to. Like, give me another situation when a player as talented, just raw talent, as Ben Simmons is going to come up. Like, I remember last year, it was like, can we get Dame for Ben Simmons and some assets? Now it's CJ for Ben straight up. I mean, his value is an all-time low. This is one of those situations that we were talking about that doesn't come around every day. Why did James Harden get to Brooklyn? Well, it was a weird situation in Houston. Why did the Blazers could have run at James Harden, but they were like, we don't want to trade CJ, which it's like, looking back, you're like,
really. But Kevin Love to Portland would fit well, in my opinion, and I think if that option comes out, you should pursue it. Coaching candidates, there actually is a little bit of coaching news that we could go over. It's the assistant coaching staff. There's a couple guys that have been released as some candidates. It's former Bulls and Clippers coach Vinny Del Negro, Scott Brooks, obviously the ex-Thunder and Wizards coach, and then also Lakers assistant Lionel Hollins. Now, none of these names really jump off the page.
For the Blazers.
I would say Lionel Hollins is my favorite of the 3.
Bring back David Vanterpool.
We could. I don't think he would leave to come back just to be another assistant coach. But Del Negro hasn't been in the league, or however you say Del Negro, hasn't been in the league since like 2013. So I don't really think he would be that good. And then Scott Brooks is just, I don't think he's that good of a coach. He kind of
a head coach.
But sure, maybe.
Like Jason Kidd, terrible head coach, great assistant.
But how do we know he's actually a good assistant coach?
I don't know. They're the Lakers.
Well, why not go get the Lakers assistant coach? One of them.
Jason Kidd?
Lionel Hollins, Lakers assistant.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know enough about these guys, assistant coaches, to say who's good and who's not.
Look, everyone's going to have an opinion on the assistant coaches. It's a lot of people who know basketball really well, and they're going to be like, oh, this assistant coach is a terrible call because he hasn't been in the league since 2012. And it's like, is he going to make yeah, he's going to help make decisions. But if Chauncey is comfortable with him, if that's who Chauncey wants, you got to trust the man.
You got to trust the guy you just gave the big contract to in the end. I think Kenny Atkinson would have been really good, but he actually ended up going to the Warriors. So another intertwined little Warriors-Blazers thing. I mean, he was super good at developing D'Angelo Russell and a lot of the guys for the Nets.
It's a good coach. I don't know. Assistant coaching staff is not a huge deal. I think it's less about how good okay. You gotta be good at coaching, clearly. But I feel like it's more about how the coaching staff, the strengths and weaknesses, and how but Chauncey Billups might not be the greatest offensive mind. We bring in an offensive minded coach, assistant coach, who can help him with that. You just need to mix and match the coaching staff well. If you have a bunch of offensive geniuses, where's the defense? You just gotta be a balanced coaching staff. And to be honest, a lot of people don't know a lot of assistant coaches, so when people complain about it, I don't take too much stock in it.
Speaking of assistant coaches, just something live that just came through on the Woj Twitter is the Magic just announced a new coach, Jamal Mosley from the Dallas Mavericks, an assistant. I don't know anything about him, but since the Blazers are in a dull part of the season, we might as well talk about other teams. Speaking of other teams, this is something we've talked about a lot. We weren't planning on talking about this coming in, but the Atlanta Hawks. You've made the comparison. Have we talked about this before? Hawks comparison to the 2019 Blazers and how
we might have,
they could
have
very false expectations next year.
Yeah, so the Hawks, for some reason when I was watching the Hawks this postseason, I have a lot of friends who are Hawks fans, and they just reminded me of me in 2019. But I had this theory that the Hawks are going to be like the Blazers in terms of, I think their ceiling is Western Conference Finals with the current group that they have. I think Trae Young is good, but undersized guard. Hello, CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard. and a good defensive center, Clint Capella. Hello, Yusuf Nurkic. Clint Capella is a better defender than Nurkic, but you get the comparison for comparison purposes. Now, the Hawks just made it to the Western Conference Finals. They could have easily lost in the first round to the Knicks. Personally, I thought they were going to lose to the Knicks. Look at the Blazers in the first round. Yes, they won 4-1 against the Thunder.
Just like the Hawks.
Just like the Hawks did. But one of those was Game 1 was tight, and Game 5 required an epic shot by Dame, which, of course, I'm not going to be like, it was lucky. No, but, it's a make-or-miss league, so it could have gone the other way. And then in the second round, the Hawks take care of Philly, just Game 7 on the road, just like how the Blazers did in Denver. So, it just looks – the Hawks have a similar team to Portland where, Portland had their stars. Their 1A and their 1B, Trey and Dame and CJ. And to be honest, for the Hawks, it was a lot of different guys, but that's kind of the point. The Blazers were like a team in 2019. Canner, Turner, Harkless, Aminu, Hood, Curry, all these guys. Zach Collins was healthy. And, the Hawks do too. But the Hawks, because that team overachieved, I don't think they're going to keep everyone. They're going to sell some guys. I don't know if they'll make the best choices. They might keep them, and I just don't think that team is talented enough to go past the Western Conference Finals.
Eastern.
Eastern.
And their GM did say that already that they're going to have to make decisions on who's staying and who's leaving. The fact that they're so young, a lot of people are like, oh, they're young, they'll just get better. Well, that's a blessing and a curse because at some point, all those young guys that are performing for you are going to want to get paid.
Trey's on a rookie deal.
Yeah, you're never going to get this many quality players around Trey again.
You can't keep this team. You can't.
I hate to say it. I mean, I don't hate to say it, but for his own good, I don't think Trae Young's ever getting this close again to the finals. He's never going to get 2 games away from the finals again in his Hawks career, in my opinion.
I could see that. I don't know. Next year, I just don't think the Hawks are going to be in the Western Conference Finals. Don't expect the Hawks to be these repeat playoff runs. Because this is a Blazers podcast, and we talk about the West all the time. Eastern Conference Finals, excuse me. But, to be honest, the East right now is looking like a Bucks-Nets 2-horse race, especially if Ben Simmons is on his way to Portland. Just kidding. Back to the original question. If Dame wants to win a championship, Ben Simmons is going to have to be on the team next year. Or someone of his caliber.
Do you think, next year, if the Blazers don't... Dame's going to have more years to win a championship than just next year, you would think. Do you think last year's his last... how many years does he have a good basketball where he's actually can be the best player on a championship team?
I think 3 years.
But also,
when he's he's a shooter. I could see him turning into a Chris Paul type player. Is Chris Paul the best? I think the Chris Paul's the most impactful player on the Blazers, but is he the most talented? It's Booker. Let's be honest.
How are we gonna get a guy better than Damian Lillard on the Blazers? That's just the only thing.
Okay, right now you're not, but when Dame's 36, you will. If you want to win a championship.
But it's hypotheticals. It's so far into the future. Can Dame win a championship in Portland? Do you think he has one more big playoff run left in him in Portland at least?
For sure.
You say that for sure?
For sure. I think the Blazers have another Western Conference Finals in them because I think Neil O'Shea, one of these years, will actually swing for the damn fences. And, I'm not going to play the injury card, but I would, if this team was fully healthy all year, would they have been a 6 seed? Probably not. They would have been a 3 or 4 seed. Now, they might end up playing the same team, so they could lose anyway. So really, that's why I'm saying I'm not going to play the injury card. But let's not lie. The Blazers have had some tough injury luck, so to speak.
It's actually crazy to think about. The Nurkic injury might have pushed the Blazers. It actually pushed the Blazers back a while because, A, we were in full strength for our Western Conference Finals run.
I think that
was
the year.
Then we panicked and made a bunch of dumb signings, dumb trades, looking back on it at least.
Exactly. If Nurkic doesn't get hurt, Whiteside isn't on the team. Harkless and Leonard are still on the team. Well, Leonard wouldn't be at this point. You all know why. Because of what happened on the Twitch stream. But Whiteside wouldn't be on this team, or Harkless or Leonard would be moved for, maybe a better piece. So let's be honest. Harkless and Leonard for Whiteside, for a year of Whiteside and $27 million of cap space to sign who?
Whiteside,
Hazonia, Tolliver? Come on, 2020 was the stupidest. Neil O'Shea had his head in his you-know-what.
Is that all we... That's all. Again, this is a dull part of the Blazers season. There's not much to talk about right now, but we still wanted to get a podcast out just to give you guys any updates that we had. Look for podcasts in the future as someone's
Maybe like once a
spazzing.
week.
Like in the future, once a week, unless there's a big Blazer singing. It might not even be a podcast. It could just be a video.
I just gotta get to free agency and then the draft.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, it
And then
sucks
opening
that
night, baby.
the fact that this season got pushed back so much is now like when you're thinking like right now we should be talking about new free agency signings. We still got to deal with the finals, but maybe we'll have a video version of the podcast coming out soon. Hopefully, got a really cool studio down here now to record this podcast in, so look for that in the future. You got anything to say before we're done? No. So make sure to subscribe, like the video, give it 5 stars on any audio platforms, and we'll see you for the next podcast. Peace.